Hey everyone, Alex here from Citrus Waves Art. Just wanted to share with you a tutorial on how I make my resin beach keychains with the little shells in them. They seem to be really popular, so I thought I would share that with you guys. Today I'm using MAS Epoxy Annie's Art Studio resin kit with the flag system with the medium hardener. So I'm super excited. It's my first time using it, so we'll see how it goes and you'll be learning right along with me. So here we go. All right, so here's all the products that we'll be using today. So I've got some shells that are actually Florida shells. They're from Sanibel and Captiva Island on the west coast of Florida. Beautiful place. If you ever get a chance to visit, definitely recommend it. But we'll need the really small shells that will be able to fit in the letter mold. So find some of those. I've also got ECOART Solutions silicone mixing cups, which I love. The silicone is so smooth. I use these in all of my pours when I put my pigments in. They've also got these reusable popsicle stick covers. So that way you're not just constantly throwing out your popsicle sticks. You can just peel the resin right off once it's cured. This is one of my favorite heat guns, as I'm sure you can tell. It's pretty used. So the Wagner heat gun is what I'll be using today, just to make sure we don't have any bubbles. The letter and number mold is also from ECOART Solutions. I absolutely love this mold. I tested it out probably a couple weeks ago now before I decided to make a tutorial on how to use it. But when the letters come out, they're seriously like the smoothest resin I've ever felt. It's absolutely amazing. So this is the letter mold that I'll be using today. Definitely make sure you have some gloves. Resin is never nice to get on your fingers. Super sticky. You can get it off with alcohol or washing them, but I just prefer to protect myself and have the gloves. And for my resin today, I'll be using Annie's Art Studio resin. This is the first time, it's a collaboration that she's done with MAS Epoxy. She kind of like reinvented the use for the flag system for all of us artists, so it's been really cool to see that kind of develop over time. So I'm going to be trialing this today. This is the first time I'll be using it, so wish me luck. And then to color it, I'm going to be using Eye Candy Chartreuse pigment. I absolutely love their pigments. They're my go-to. I use them anytime you see any mica in my work. It's always Eye Candy. So absolutely love them, would recommend them. And they're also based in Florida, right over in Daytona, not far from here. So yeah, love their product. So to start off, we're going to find our shells and go ahead and put them in the letters. See, that one was a little too big, so I had to find another smaller shell to put in there. But just place them around the letter as you see me doing here. So according to the bottle, we've got 20 minutes of our working time at 70 degrees. So pretty quick. That's why I've laid out all of the shells and everything that I'm going to put into the letters beforehand. So that way I'm not like freaking out about how much time I have to put the shells in once I've mixed the resin. So I've got my ECOART Solutions mixing cup here, which I didn't originally show because I was going to do it in one of their smaller cups because I was only going to use a small amount. But this one has like the markings on it for how much I need to pour, and since it's a 2-to-1 ratio for resin to hardener, this is really important, so that makes sure that I get the right measurement. So I'm probably only going to do like a really small amount, so in ounces, maybe 2 or 4. I'm not quite sure yet because I haven't done this small of an amount of resin before. So it's going to be a bit of trial and error, so bear with me. So somewhere in here, but at least that way I know that I've accurately measured, which is really important when we're working with resin. For my fellow Floridians and those of you who live in hot states, I'm sure you guys know that we would love to have an ideal working temperature of 70 degrees Fahrenheit, but that's just not always possible. The weather here is crazy hot at the moment. It's August, the middle of summer. Looking forward to cooler temperatures, but my working time might be slightly reduced than 20 minutes, so we'll see how we go. So first we're going to pour 2 ounces of the resin into the ECOART Solutions mixing cup. I have the measurements on my side of the cup, which you'll be able to see once I turn the camera around, but at the moment you're seeing the metric side of the cup. So here you can see me pouring 2 ounces of resin into the cup. I want to get it straight up to that line to make sure I have the even 2 ounces. So for the hardener, we'll only need to pour 1 ounce because it's a 2-to-1 ratio resin to hardener, so you'll see me pour it up to the line. The next step is to make sure that we mix our resin thoroughly so the 2 parts combine. This usually takes around 2 to 3 minutes. Now I'm separating the resin into different mixing cups because part of it will be kept clear and I'll color some of it with the chartreuse eye candy pigment. So here you'll see me taking just a little scoop of the mica powder to mix into the resin. Just make sure you give it a good stir to combine the resin with the pigment. I tend to like to have a darker color pigment, but totally up to you guys how much color you want in it. So here I'm kind of checking what the color looks like, and a good way to do that is to pull it out with your popsicle stick and you can see how much color is actually going to be in there, whether it's going to be translucent or not. So in this case I wanted to add a bit more color just to make sure that the color is really vibrant once it goes into the mold. So I just added a little bit more pigment to it. I'll give it a good stir and then I'm ready to pour. So I'll start by pouring the clear resin into the mold over the part with the shells in it. That way when we demold you can actually see the shells through the clear resin and it has a really cool effect. And then next, after I pour the clear part, I'll add in the kind of tealish colored resin that we colored with the eye candy mica powder just to the top part of the letter. You'll see here when I start pouring the teal into the E, I hadn't put enough clear in, so the teal obviously then started to kind of droop down into the clear and cover my shells, which I mean is totally fine, but it wasn't the look I was going for. You can combat that by just adding in a bit more clear resin and it should push the colored resin back up to the top of the letter. One of my pro tips for cleaning your silicone cups is a bit of proactive cleaning. So what I do once I'm done finished using them, I get the leftover resin that's in the bottom of the cup, and I actually just take it and spread it around the walls of the cup. So that way, like all of the little droplets that have formed while using it, they actually get covered in this thin sheet of resin, which makes it a million times easier to clean once it cures. I found this works pretty well for me most of the time. Every now and then you don't quite have enough resin and it doesn't stick and you have a little, of the beads or the droplets near the top, but they're pretty easy to get out with tape because it's not like a crazy amount of them. Give it a try, see what you think. Let me know in the comments if it works for you. See, now this is what I was talking about, the importance of wearing gloves. I'm super messy when I work with resin, so I would much rather protect my hands. So this is a little bit of a controversial part of the process. A lot of people say that you shouldn't use any kind of heat on your silicone molds, including a heat gun or a torch. I've found in the past, just by using the heat gun on a low setting and just do a quick run over to pop the top bubbles, more than likely you're going to be fine. You can also use alcohol in a little spray bottle and spray it on top of the resin before it cures to pop the bubbles that have risen to the top. I've done that in the past as well, which has worked. So there's a few options there. All right, so I managed to pour 11 letters using 2 ounces of the resin and then 1 ounce of the hardener. So not very many, but I kind of ran out of shells, so it worked out okay. So let's wait 2 hours until it cures, and then we'll come back and demold and see how they turned out. So I actually ended up waiting a bit longer than 2 hours to demold these. My day got busy and I had to run errands and do some other things. So by the time I came back, it was probably about 6 hours, but the resin was fully cured. They were super easy to demold. And actually, surprisingly, I talked about my working time being reduced because of the temperature. My room when I was working was around 72, 73 degrees, and my working time was the full 20 minutes. I would almost say it was actually a little bit longer than 20 minutes, but because I only ended up doing 11 letters, it all worked out. So one little tip. When you put the shells in, this is one thing I found out that I've known, but I just thought I would try it anyways. One of the things you have to be careful of when you put the shells in before the resin is sometimes it will create like little air pockets. So then you'll end up with a hole where resin hasn't gotten into. So it just kind of depends on the shell that you use as to whether or not it creates that air pocket. So something just to be mindful of. I had this one, and I think the B as well has, let's see if we can see it, a little hole here. Yeah, which I'm not too concerned about, but I think overall it worked out well. All right, I'm in the garage, and I'm ready to make these into keychains. Let's do it. To make the letters into cute little keychains, you can do it one of 2 ways. You can either use a drill with a small bit, or you can also use a Dremel. I currently don't have the right head on my Dremel, and I'm just too lazy to change it. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my DeWalt drill, which I bought this for myself. It was a Christmas present to me from me, and it was honestly one of the best things I ever got myself. So yeah, look into it, got it at Home Depot. So we need to pick the right size bit to make sure that we don't drill a hole that's too big for the keychain to go into. So let me get out the keychain screw and have a look, because I honestly can't remember what size bit we need. So this is how I organize all of my keychain stuff in here. Pretty sure it was like a tackle box or something, but it's great for keychain organization. So here's the pieces we're gonna need. 1, 2, 3. So we've got the actual keychain, we've got the screw, and then the little bit that connects the screw to the keychain. So this is the part I'm interested in. It's pretty tiny. So I'm thinking we're going to need the tiniest drill bit. Yep. So that's going to be the 1/16 is the one that I'm going to use. We'll see how that goes. All right. Make sure it's nice and tight in there so it doesn't come out. Perfect. I'm going to move these aside. And we'll start with A for Alex. So I normally just find like a central point on the top of the letter, and then I line it up with my drill. I mean, this is very scientific right here. My dad has one of those, I don't even know what they're called, the clamp press things that hold stuff for you, which I totally need, but you know, we're gonna do this kind of ghetto style. So once you finish drilling the holes into your letters, you can add the first bit of the keychain, which is the screw piece, and you'll see me struggle a little bit here with this letter because I didn't quite drill in as far as I needed to. So I'll have to get the needle nose pliers and go ahead and screw it all the way in until you can't see any more of the screw sticking out. Now that I've got the screw piece all the way in, I can add the connecting piece to the keychain and then close it off using the needle nose pliers. Thanks so much for joining me today and watching how I make my ocean letter keychains. I hope you enjoyed and learned something from the video. If you did, leave me a comment. Subscribe to my channel if you want to watch some more art videos coming soon. Thanks again, guys. Bye.